All right, we are ready for key concept number 118. This says a material transmits or reflects some types of light and not others. Pause the video and copy this down. Okay, so an example of this is like a red apple. This is not a real apple, but red light comes and hits it and bounces off and reflects to your eyes, but other types of light are absorbed, like colors green and blue and yellow. All the other colors besides red are absorbed. And then there's probably other types of light, like radio waves, that pass right through this thing. So for this apple, we know red light is reflected because it appears red, and then other types of light are absorbed, and other types of light are transmitted. So different types of light have different wavelengths, so different things can happen as they travel. So question 19, what property of light determines if it is transmitted, reflected, or absorbed? The answer here is the wavelength. Wavelength is what determines if something is transmitted, reflected, or absorbed. And then if it is absorbed, it's the wavelength that determines what happens. Is it going to heat up? Is it going to be damaged? Is it going to change color, etc.? So, in chapter 2, we focused on one thing that can happen to light as it travels, which was absorption. A material can absorb energy from some types of light and not others. Now we know that a material can also reflect or transmit some types of light and not others. We are going to skip 120 for right now. We've had a lot of reading, so we don't really want to do that. So just skip 120, and we're going to move on to 121, which is a warm-up activity. So the image to the left shows light being reflected off of the foil. We've got light coming from a light source, hits the foil, bounces off, and goes up this way. All of the light is being reflected, and none of it is being transmitted or absorbed. Do you think that the foil will warm up? Go ahead and pause, answer question 121. Okay, do you think that the aluminum foil will get warm? If the light carries energy and the light is reflected, what happens to the energy then? The answer here is that the energy is also reflected. So none of the energy goes into the foil. So the foil should remain unchanged and it should not heat up. All right, today we're going to investigate the question, what happens to energy when light is transmitted through or reflected off of a material? You're going to use the sim to find two materials that transmit green light and two materials that reflect green light. Then you will record your observations in question 122 and answer the investigation question. So, instructions: open the sim, set the light source to laser, set the color to green, turn it on. Search for materials that transmit or reflect green light by dragging them to a platform in the testing area, one at a time. When you find a material that either transmits or reflects light, do the following. So you need to turn on show energy to see what happens to the energy in the light. Press inspect to observe whether the material changes. And then record your observations in the data table for questions 122 right here. So you list what material did you find that transmitted light, what happened to the energy, did the material change. So go ahead and complete this sim activity. And then try to answer question 123. What happens to energy when light is transmitted or reflected off of a material?